sports.
Welcome to The Playbook, where we're talking sports, entertainment, and lifestyle. I'm your host, MinaSayWhat, and we're 100% digital, 100% live, and 100% real. Let's count them down. Hello, family. Welcome to The Playbook. It's our digital sports show. I'm your host, MinaSayWhat. I'm in a little bit of a different setting today. You know, I'm a mom-to-be. So we're basically, my house is like upside down right now, okay? Trying to figure out where my workspace is going to be, where the baby space is going to be. But look, we got to make it happen. I want to bring in my brother, Terrell Thomas, senior sports and entertainment editor for theseurbantimes.com. Terrell, you're a dad, so you've gone through this transition in your life.
Yes, indeed. First and foremost, it's great to be sitting with you today, and it's definitely a transition. But one thing I know about you, Miss Lady, I'm looking forward to motherhood for you because you're built for this. You're built for this. You're definitely built for this. So I'm looking forward to seeing how things play out.
Oh, thank you. I mean, it's a lot of adjustment in a short amount of time. And everybody's like, why are you still working? And I'm like, because I can. It's like if I was sick or if there was something going on, obviously I wouldn't be working, but I feel fine. I mean, my feet swell up and my hands swell up, but that's just, it comes with the territory. So, but yeah, we're shuffling things around the house, trying to, find my space and find the baby space. So this is what we're looking like today. Okay. Let's hop into our top Philly stories, our top Philly plays. Literally everyone has been talking about the new Sixers arena that has been proposed. Let's take a look at what it would look like. So they literally want to put it downtown Center City in Philadelphia. That's literally down the block from City Hall. So it's off of Market, which is the fashion district. They just wrapped up building down there a couple years ago. So this would be yet another thing that brings more people down to that Center City, downtown Philadelphia area. It's right by Chinatown. So obviously there's a lot of neighborhoods in that area. The proposition is that it would start building in 2025, wrapping up in 2031. So it would be a 6-year process costing about $1.3 billion. None of that money is none of the taxpayers are going to be paying for this. It's a private venture. But it will obviously add a lot more congestion to that already congested area. A lot more cars, more people on public transportation. There's been a lot of conversation about this. Are you for or against this, Terrell?
I look at it two ways, and partially now because of being located here in Atlanta. When I first saw it, I was wondering, okay, downtown, how close to the gallery will it be? Like, what exactly? As you mentioned, with parking and things, that's already an extremely busy area. When you think about City Hall, Independence Hall, the Fashion District, Chinatown, there's so many things as you mentioned down there. But the Hawks actually, one thing that's unique about Philadelphia is how all our stadiums are down in South Philadelphia, the Phillies, the Sixers and the Flyers and the Eagles. But that is pretty unique. A lot of cities don't have that. Here in Atlanta, the Hawks Stadium is actually downtown. And traffic and things isn't as bad as you would expect. They're both of their stadiums, the football stadium and basketball stadium, Mercedes-Benz and State Farm Arena are right next door downtown. So I actually think that what the Sixers are doing, it could be really beneficial to the downtown district, just seeing how it plays out here in Atlanta now, and with Philadelphia being a bigger city, being, in my opinion, a bigger sports city as well. I think it may go well. And with it being so far away, I also think that there may be a lot of redevelopment possibly, that they may be aware of in the future, whereas though some of those structures may not be there.
So with me, I live in New Jersey. I commute into every game. I find it very convenient that our current stadium is literally, you can see it from the highway 95. So, obviously 76 is a highway that's close to that Center City area, but you have to drive up a couple blocks, and that road is always congested. That highway is always congested, and it feeds into 95. But for me, it's more so like, as someone who's traveling from outside of Philadelphia to come into the games, it makes it a little bit harder for you to get in and out of that very congested area. Right now, the way that it's set up is you get off the highway, it's right there. There's ample amount of parking. Here, there's going to be a parking issue. And someone mentioned, well, maybe they'll put parking underground, or they'll figure out the parking situation. There's not enough space down there to put enough parking that you need, especially during playoff time. During playoff time, Terrell, I had to park in Citizens Bank Park, their parking lot, the baseball field, to get into the Wells Fargo Center. So it's like, I don't think those things are being thought of. Like, how about come playoff? You
No,
know,
I think they're factoring that in, but I also think during that time, as I mentioned, with it being so far away, they will build the structures you speak of, parking decks and things of that nature. But I think they're going to rely a lot on public transportation as well, like possibly having shuttles or trolleys, or revamping the SEPTA services, so that way, and they'll probably encourage fans like, hey, with your tickets, you get a free SEPTA pass or something, to the game and stuff. So,
and that was my next point. SEPTA is not the safest form of transportation. People are getting robbed, they're getting raped, they're getting stabbed on SEPTA. I mean, recently SEPTA, which is the public transportation system in Philadelphia, has added some some security, but it's outsourced security. I don't feel comfortable having to hop on SEPTA at 9:30, 10 o'clock at night to take the train to go somewhere else, to hop in my car and then drive home. It's just, it's not convenient, and it will add a lot of congestion to that downtown area. And then how will that affect the businesses and the communities around that area, the fashion district, Chinatown? So that's my concern. It would deter me from going to a game, having to deal with all of that. Like, where do I put my car? Where do I park my car? How do I get back to my car? Do I have to go on public transportation when it's not safe at 10 o'clock at night? When I was reading what their proposal was, they wanted to model it after Madison Square Garden. Okay. But Madison Square Garden, the subway system is not SEPTA. So I'm not gonna have to fight a crackhead when I have to go down to hop on the train in New York. So it's like, there's NYPD down there again. SEPTA, they outsource their security, from my understanding. So I'm not a fan. We'll see how it works out. James Harden has finally signed this contract. So the reported $14.4 billion, I guess, pay cut that he was supposed to take, it actually did turn out to be the case. So he's taking the pay cut for the first year. In the second year, he actually then has a player option to opt out of the second year and then renegotiate again. There's a lot of people in the industry that are thinking that this is suspicious. James Harden has come out and said, look, I had a conversation with Daryl Morey, the president of the Sixers. This is a team effort. I'm like, whatever the team needs to get to the next level, I'm willing to take a pay cut. And for this 1 year, take the L, which is not really an L because he's still getting a substantial amount of money, for you to bring the guys on board that you need to bring on board. But then next year, he has the ability to negotiate for a lot more money if he plays well, and if this new team that they put together that includes the PJ Tuckers and some of these other players, if that team does well. Is this setting like a scary precedent for negotiations when it comes to players and these other sports teams?
Well, excuse me. I think the precedents right now across a lot of professional sports, male professional sports anyway, with these contracts are a bit ridiculous. But I'm also one that believes, if a person's willing to pay you that amount of money, that it's not ridiculous, if that makes sense. We just see such, these huge lucrative deals. In baseball, we see deals that can be anywhere 10 years, 300,
Yeah.
$400 million. We've seen the NBA creep into those numbers where we see this year, and forgive me for not knowing the exact amount, but Russell Westbrook will make nearly $50 million just this year. Where cats are signing 4-year, $200 million deals. I don't necessarily think this was suspicious, nor does it set a weird precedence. And I would actually tip my hat, for a change to James Harden, because he's received a lot of scrutiny throughout his years when he's been restructuring contracts or signing, negotiating new deals with new teams for just not doing that, for taking max dollars and sometimes even more.
Yeah.
So I commend the brother. He's trying to get a championship to Philly. He know how bad, we would love to see that, how bad we would love to march up and down Broad Street. And we also know about the relationship he has with Daryl Morey. So if they had that conversation, they were able to make things work. If he does play his tail off, as you mentioned, because he does need to make some improvements as a Sixer, we haven't seen the MVP, James Harden. If he is able to make those improvements, I'm not mad at him restructuring his deal later on. So, no, I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm along the same lines. I just feel like people just be all like bent out of shape over the smallest things, right? Like, what's okay? He didn't play the best this year. That's not a secret. The team didn't go. I mean, my expectations for the team was for them to at least make the Eastern Conference Finals, which we didn't make. So we didn't progress in terms of where we matched up last year versus this year, because we went to the same exact spot. So for me, it's like, okay, you didn't do your best, take this pay cut. If you step it up a notch and then our team can get further on, yeah, you can renegotiate for a bigger bag in the second year. I don't understand why people are so suspicious. That's literally the word that's being used, and all these sports blogs. What's suspicious about it? This is the way that you negotiate, and this is what happens when you have a great relationship with the back, the back office in sports. That's what happens. Him and Daryl Morey know each other from the Rockets. They're trying to put together some of the same guys. They do have a lot of the same players from back in the day. Hey, let's pause this massive deal right now. If you can step it up and we can get a championship, we'll pay you on the back end. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
I agree. You said why they making a big deal? Because it's Philly, and people just love to make a big deal out of Philly.
We'll get to that. So our Eagles are starting training camp this year. There's a lot of expectations here. People have already talked about us having top 10 offense, and someone said the Eagles are, a CBS Sports actually said the Eagles are the most improved team. These expectations are high. What are your expectations leading into training camp?
Mina, you may not want to hear them then, because my expectations are extremely high as well. I mean, of course, as Eagle fans, every season we come into the season thinking our birds are going to go to the Super Bowl. I mean, right. That's reality. That is how we think. So of course I feel that way, but I really feel I'm gonna take baby steps with the Eagles. I believe they'll win the NFC East. I'll take it there. I believe they'll win a playoff game. I have that much confidence with them. And then, we'll see how the Cards may play, how well Jalen Hurts develops this season. I do remember last year, I took your advice. You told me early in the year, I was very skeptical on Nick Sirianni. You told me to give him a few. And he did. After we spoke about him in the sunflower and he mentioned sunflowers, it was a totally different team. So I'm geared up to see what he has in store for our guys. So, I mean, to answer the question, I do think we can honestly make the Super Bowl, but I'm going to take baby steps and just see, let's make the playoffs. Let's win a division, win a playoff game, and then I'll get ridiculous with my talk later in the year.
So my strategy here is just being on the safe side. There are a lot of sports outlets that are putting a lot of cachet and a lot of pressure on the team just because of the acquisitions, the AJ Browns, the Hassan Reddick, some of the guys that we've added to the melting pot. Obviously, we want to see Devontae Smith mature. We're looking to see a very much improved Jalen Hurts. I just need to see how it works, right? Because I think they've drafted and made the specific moves, great, very crucial moves in the offseason, but I just need to see how it works. Just because you have the right pieces doesn't mean you know how to play the game. So it's like I need to see how the coaching has adjusted, how the coaching reacts to an AJ Brown. To me, it kind of seems like he's very vocal. We're already seeing it on social media how vocal he is. How is that going to gel with the rest of the team? How is it going to gel with coaches that are not as experienced as some other coaches? So that's what I'm looking forward to see. I'm just being safe. I got to see it first. I'm not putting no expectations on the Eagles. I just want to see what they can do with what they have at this point.
Nothing wrong with
All
that at all.
So the Baseball Hall of Fame has inducted a new class over the weekend. It was 7 members. Now, this year they were very, very heavy on the diversity end of it. Okay. So Bud Fowler, who's actually the first known professional Black baseball player, this is before Jackie Robinson. He kind of, bounced around team to team, was inducted. Minnie Minosa, who's actually the first like Afro Latino, like the first Black Latin player to be, he's Cuban. He started playing in the Negro League and then ended up playing for the White Sox, 13-time All-Star. Buck O'Neil, who was literally the face of the Negro League, first African-American coach with the Cubs, player, manager. And then David Big Papi Ortiz led the Red Sox to 3 championships. Some very crucial names. Some of these guys have passed away. So you'll see, their sister or their wife or, their daughter representing them. But I just think it's really crucial that they're starting to induct people of color that have literally not only just changed baseball, but broke down some serious barrier lines. I mean, Bud Fowler in general, they said that, he played for so many teams, and then like they would cheer for him, and then he couldn't even get food. Like they wouldn't even feed him because of all the racism that was present, that he was still battling with off the field.
Yeah, that's truly amazing. Of course, looking at us, we're 2 people of color, and
Yeah.
you know, so many things have been set in stone because of leagues like the Negro League to help us propel to where we are today. I do think, as you mentioned, MLB taking a stand and actually acknowledging the Negro Leagues now and acknowledging those former, whether it be Latino or African American players. I think that is phenomenal. I think that's a phenomenal thing. And Big Papi spoke on that. That's dope to see him, a guy we grew up watching, and seeing him change the tides of the Boston Red Sox. Seeing him get inducted was dope. So I also would like to tip my cap to MLB, and I love where it's going with diversity. And hopefully that will intertwine and help get more inner city kids to loving the game again.
Yeah, absolutely. Now speaking of baseball, I do have that Joel Embiid story that we're going to get to. I didn't forget about the story. I was on a roll here. So speaking of baseball, our Phils are not doing very well. Coming off that All-Star break, we literally were swept by the Cubs. You want to talk about the Cubs? Nick Castellanos is getting a big bag from us, and there was a lot of expectations coming into this season that he would do well for us. He has not been doing well. Recently in one of the games, he was booed. And then I want you to watch this post-game interview about him being booed.
Did you hear the boos there when you struck out and they played the game there?
No, man, I lost my hearing.
So you didn't hear it?
Come on, man, that's a stupid question.
Why is that a stupid question?
Can anybody else answer that for him? Anybody?
So, this man is not doing well. He's struggling at the bat. He's trying to figure it out. People are booing him. And then the reporters, did you hear the boos? I actually think this response is very appropriate. Why kick the man down? I mean, that question could have been asked so many different. Like, he's already down. Why kick him? Did you hear the boos? Sir, everybody heard the boos. I wasn't even at the game and I heard the boos.
It's, as we mentioned, though, it's Philadelphia. It's Philadelphia. We spoke on Nick at the beginning of the season. I was extremely excited. I mean, I remember that a few weeks ago. I was extremely excited on the acquisition, 30-plus home runs the last 2 seasons in Cincinnati. And as you just said, that bat has not been here since he's arrived at Citizen Bank Park. And athletes have to know by now, whether it's fair or foul, no matter how you look at it, that when you come to Philadelphia, you're going to be under a microscope. and you'll be praised or you'll be scrutinized. And sometimes in your career, you may get both, depending on, you know, how it goes with you. Our Phillies are struggling, as you mentioned. They're 0-3 since the All-Star break, going into a series against the Braves that I hope they're able to win at home. But Nick has to get it going. And sometimes you just got to own it. Like, you know, sometimes when you are playing poorly, even though you are, as you mentioned, you say don't kick a man when you're down, that attributes to why they get paid those big dollars. We hate to talk about players' money and everything, and I do agree. That's not my call to say when someone else gets paid. But a part of you being paid those big dollars is to take that scrutiny. So, Nick, get that bat going, brother, or just suck it up.
I like his response, though. I like a little grit. That was a stupid question. Next. So as a result, Nick has actually been moved in the lineup. So you're going to see some changes. Real quickly, let's get into some of the plays this week for our Phils. Because as you mentioned, we are headed into a series with the Braves. Hopefully, you know, we can get some positive momentum there. And then we head to the, you know, playing the Pirates. And those are away games. So we'll see what happens and if these changes actually help. I have one last story that I forgot about. So James Harden and Joel Embiid have been partying together. So there's pictures of them partying together. But then there we go. But who is that? That's the Rachel girl, Rachel Nichols, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they've been partying with Rachel Nichols. She's a, you know, former sportscaster that, you know, had some situations with her job. Point is, apparently Rachel was dating Jimmy Butler in the bubble. That's what the rumor is. So the fact that Rachel's been hanging out with Joel and James, people are saying that is a troll towards Jimmy Butler. I don't know if it's a good troll or a bad troll to try to get him to come and hang out with us because we're hanging out with his ex. I don't know what this is. I just wanted to point it out.
That's hilarious. I didn't hear that one. That's hilarious.
You just saw that they were partying together, which is a great sign.
Yeah.
I remember when Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons were at the club together, you know, back in the day when things, you know, were good. But yeah, I just like that they're building that chemistry. And I don't know if it's a Jimmy Butler troll, but yeah, we'll see what happens there. Okay. Thank you, Terrell, for joining us. How can people find you?
Thank you. You can check me out at theseurbantimes.com. You can also follow me on social media at Eldorado2452 and at These Urban Times.
And I'm MinaSayWhat. You can find me here talking sports, our digital sports show, The Playbook. I will hopefully be back Monday at 1:45 if this baby don't decide to drop before then. Listen, every time I'm on air, I've been prepping people saying, look, if you don't hear me one day, it's because the baby came out. Okay. That's the only reason I would not be here. Right. So God willing, we'll speak to you next week. It's The Playbook. I'm your host, MinaSayWhat.
Thanks for watching The Playbook. I'm your host, MinaSayWhat, and you got something you want to talk about next week? You can always hit me up on social media at MinaSayWhat, and make sure you join us 1:45 next Monday on R&B Philly's Facebook,